videos and exclusive giveaways. Y'all join the Nate Jones story on YouTube right now.
Only true dogs fucking me and Big Nate. Wow. Shoot him in the greens, toss his body in that big lake.
All right. Chris Eubanks Jr. and Conor Benn. Right? So if we look at this again, and don't forget to join the Nate Jones Story membership and become a member so you don't miss any other things that, like there's giveaways, it might be signed memorabilia. You want to be the ones that's there when this is going down. So definitely become a member. Right now, he's working with Team Haney, working with Devin Haney. So he's been extremely busy focusing on the next bout. But he does sit back and watch all of your comments, the videos, everything. So right now, his focus is there. Now we've come full circle here to the Conor Benn and Chris Eubanks Jr. situation. And it's real easy to see that this fight, you know, the two fathers fought years ago. Nigel Benn and Chris Eubanks Sr. fought in an epic battle. And now the two sons are fighting about 20 years later, you know. So, you know, the storyline of the bad blood and all of this, but it's just two warriors fighting. Now, Ben, you know, everybody was saying he's too small. He's a 147-pound guy going all the way up to a middleweight fight, you know, from a welterweight to a middleweight, jumping up all these weight classes just for this bout. Now, Chris Eubanks Jr. had a hard time making the weight for this fight and was really killing himself to try to make weight. And he didn't, which means he had to pay a certain amount a pound, you know. So as the fight went on early, you could see that Ben was assertive with his jab as much as he could be early and came out with a lot of aggression. And Eubanks seemed a little bit off, you know, from the weight draining. You know, his reflexes were a little slow for this fight. And for Ben, early success, he was rocking and getting the attention of Chris Eubanks Jr., who had to tie up and, you know, kind of wait till Ben kind of slowed his attacks down. But Ben was very aggressive and attacking from different angles and throwing off the timing. And it's hard to prepare for somebody like Ben, who starts off his attack from different angles, like right there when he was seemingly off balance, where he fought conventional, then he flipped the southpaw, and coming up from 147, he brought his power with him. Now, the controversy happened before when the fight got called off because, you know, Ben, you know, failed a drug test. And Ben is trying to say, nope, I got power. Now, I seem to know what happens after this fight, that there's controversy about Ben's gloves and all of these things, and he wasn't supposed to wear the gloves that he wore. All of these things is, you know, the extra stuff that happens. But in the middle rounds, as the fight settled down, the jab of Chris Eubanks Jr. was controlling the bout. And the middle rounds, he was kind of taking from Conor Benn, who did a lot of wrestling tactics and he kind of stymied his work, but he's fighting a much bigger man. And down the stretch, that's where I felt he lost the fight. He had the fight into a certain point. Then, as the fight went on, you could see that it wasn't the same. You could see that he started to fade. You see, 1, 2, bam, he's catching him with shots, coming up with uppercuts, everything. And normally, Chris Eubanks Jr., there's no bounce. There was no reaction to the punches. He was late reacting to a lot of the shots. So that struggling to make weight was very evident in this fight. And this is the results for struggling to make weight. Even when you rehydrate, your reflexes and your reaction times are slowed. Yeah, I think it led to this being a knockout, drag out style fight. Um, I think Eubanks really struggled to make this weight. Conor Benn hasn't fought in 14 months, and then he jumped all the way up in weight. So they've already had a prepared excuse for if he lost. But he gave such an effort to where it's like, okay, this wasn't a one-sided fight as we thought it was going to be. But I think the actual fact that Eubanks trying to make this weight was the bigger story. And when Ben won the rounds, you could tell, it was very telling when he won the rounds. He was a super aggressive and he came hard throwing shots. And you saw him land very flush. And you didn't really see that for Eubanks until the later rounds, which is the championship rounds. And he ended up winning by like 2 rounds. But it was a very telling 2 rounds. Both men showed grit, showed heart as they competed and went toe to toe. But you could see that Ben was starting to, wither down the stretch. You saw him tire as the bout went on. Fighting at this weight class, he's got to get used to it, pacing himself. I felt he was punching himself out sometimes, and he's getting hit by a bigger man. You know, it's a lot different, and it's not about what you could dish, is how much you can take at this weight class. Because he was dishing it out, but down the stretch, it was starting to come back, and he's hanging on the ropes. And he's taking big shots as Eubanks is coming on strong. So, like I said, it's not always about what you dish out. It's about also how much you could take. Look at that. Both guys fighting to the end. Yeah, I like that fight. Um, I think Boots probably beat Chris Eubanks Jr. Because I think Eubanks has probably got to move up in weight or something. Or clean shots, headbutts, everything's going on in this fight. Chris is just still working, keeping the hands moving. Well, he's imposing his will, being a bigger man. Well, it's all about what you can. Look at that. Down the stretch, you see Ben is tiring, and he was the one holding on near the end, as Eubanks is the rising storm. And they're not going to take the belt away from a champion who's fighting like this down the stretch. So even though Ben had success early, as the fight went on, his energy dissipated, and the size was starting to show its advantage from a welterweight fighting, a middleweight. Yeah, he's just mauling him, keeping all his size on Conor Benn. He baits him into throwing the right hand so he can get under it. Meanwhile, he rests him by just staying up on him. Oh, he loaded up with a big left, cracking him with it. Boom, big right. Boom, big left. And he closed the show. Both men deserve an applause for giving you a great fight. But yes, that's why they have weight classes. That's why they have divisions. That's why they have winners and losers. So thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy Carcino for the Nate Jones story. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. We out.